Before I contacted On Track, I was suicidal, and now I'm at the point of wanting to do a certificate in community services or something. Like, I'm ready to be a thriving member of society. So have they already flowered and the flowers died and they've dropped down to seed?
Yeah, they dropped down from the tree, the gumnut tree.
The gumnut tree?
Yeah.
Like Snugglepot and Cuddle Pie. I'm a mum of 4 sons. Chris and I were childhood sweethearts. Yeah, we just really slowly fell in love and decided to start a family together. When Sonny was born, Harper's behaviours were so challenging that his preschool teacher had asked us to get him checked out for Asperger's or being on the autism spectrum, and that was really confronting. Harper could tantrum within half an hour of waking, and it could go all day. Each tantrum could last 2 hours, and then he could tantrum as he fell asleep. A tantrum meant an adult had to be physically holding him so he didn't hurt himself or somebody else. What are those seeds, Harper?
Gum nuts.
Nuts for what?
Gum nuts.
Gum nuts. I couldn't go in public anywhere with Harper in case he'd tantrum and everyone would think I was a bad mum. I started fixating on what people would think of me rather than just on the needs of my child and myself. To counteract that, we went away from people. We went into wilderness where there was no judgment. Why the Kimberley? Just the beauty and the spirit of the land there. And the art, I was really into some of the cave art up there, yeah. We love the wilderness. There was a place called James Price Point in the Kimberley that really needed defending, still does. We decided to try this, and everyone thought we were mad, especially the kids' psychologists, and they were saying there'd be too much change, the kids won't cope and everything will get harder. And it didn't think that anything could get any harder. It was already beyond hard. So at least in that case, we knew that we could be having a hard day on a beautiful beach and go fishing while the child tantrums. And that's better than sitting in the same house, in the same room, having the same tantrum. We still had the stresses of dealing with the challenging behaviours of the kids, but as our stresses came down and as we stopped fighting with each other, the kids' behaviours became better as well. Darling, can you take this inside now? We came back to have Callum, that baby, and the start of all of the diagnoses and my whole my experience in mental health was that when he was 3 days old, I started crying, as all mums do when they have a baby, when their milk comes in. I just didn't stop. I cried, and then at 3 months I was still crying, and people were saying, "Why are you crying?" "I don't know." My mental health was so stretched. It was such a little thin membrane that, I was just managing to stay on this side. But we were living deep in the forest. It was really isolating. I can remember crying in the middle of the night, trying to cry really quietly so I didn't wake anyone, and my 10-year-old singing out from the next room, "It's okay, Mum, it's going to be okay." And I couldn't help anyone. I couldn't help him. All the relationships started disintegrating again. Yeah, you go to Sonny. I just felt like a complete failure because my love wasn't enough and it was running out. I would just feel like I was spinning up there and couldn't feel my body, couldn't ground, like I was just not recognisable to myself. I used to wish I could just die in an accident, so then I wouldn't have to make that act of killing myself, but I could die and it would all be over. I think I knew that we needed to move off the property. We needed to move to where we could have more support. So we moved up to the Gold Coast, up to Tweed Heads. And my partner believed that once we moved, everything would be okay. Yes, Sonny?
How much longer until
People on the spectrum don't like change, so I was nursing them through all of this massive change.
How much longer until we have to go back to the farm?
We were missing the forest, missing the frogs. We just weren't used to the noise of machinery, and when we were looking for somewhere to live and ringing every community service I could and speaking to Caroline at On Track, and she said that, wait list, that word you hate to hear, that there was a wait list, that the program was full. And I must have made a desperate kind of sound, and Caroline said, I still can hear her voice in my head, "Kelly, I will support you. I will still support you even though you're not on the program. I can come and visit you. You can ring me anytime." And I remember something in me clinging on to that, and I think I did ring her daily for a while. Northern Kids Care, I think that's a really, really valuable program on lots of levels because it supports kids, it supports parents to keep being good parents through mental illness. You're going to go once around the table and then back out off the edge, okay? Thanks for being flexible. I remember trying to push my baby in the pram and I was walking outside and moving through the air felt like it was thick sludge mud. Like just being was so difficult. Just walking required so much energy and effort and everything was unbearable all the time. And I had a suicide plan and it was going to be a murder-suicide because I knew my kids would all end up with my sister. There was a really tall building across from where I lived and I was going to jump off that building. I know about how that happens, that you just get quiet thoughts and then they start happening more and more. And I was observing these thoughts happening and talking to people about them. And that's probably a year ago now. It couldn't just be yesterday, it's so close. I nearly killed myself. Yeah, that I totally bought all that head noise. I still think I'm halfway through my recovery, like I'm halfway to well, but I can see it all unfolding in front of me and each step forward, the next one's a bit easier. I wouldn't have believed that it could get easier, but it certainly has. Yeah. You're looking at those seeds.